Wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up.
Good morning, Barbados, good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, 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 morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, morning, Barbados, good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning, morning, Barbados.
Barbados, get up.
Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning.
Wake up, wake up, wake up.
Morning to you.
Indeed, morning to you all. Welcome to today, Monday, the 27th of April, 2026. Apologies for the delayed start to our show today. I hope you're hearing me, and I'm looking forward to spending time with you as well. You know, what happened just a little while ago reminds me of what happened yesterday at church. Yesterday, I had two powerful experiences. In the morning at Hawthorne Memorial, there were testimonies that spoke to the power of prayer and the power of connection with God and what God can do even in difficult situations. And then yesterday in the evening at Bethesda Methodist Church for confirmation, the power of prayer and how God shows up when we ask Him to. But yesterday evening's presentation at Bethesda, where we received 5 new people as members of the Methodist Church and 2 were extended the hands of fellowship, so 7 in total. Reverend Bishop Richards, he talked a little bit about, he said, God saw. And God still sees you. God still sees all of us in our frailty, but He sees a purpose in all of us as well. And then He called 2 fishermen to be fishers of men, and He invited others to follow. And in following, He talked about how we have different roles to play in any organization, in any family, in any community. We're either called to go out and to bring in, but there are others who hold the background, who make things work. When strife and situations occur, they knit it all together again. So they were menders of nets. And so it was so powerful. So congratulations to the 5 who were confirmed yesterday at the Bethesda Methodist Church, the 2 who received their right hand of fellowship as well. But boy, what a powerful outpouring of the Holy Spirit indeed we all had. And that's why you should get up and go to church. Don't sit and assume. I know sometimes we become so comfortable in watching our gadgets. You gotta go. You gotta go. You have to go. God is waiting on you. He also talked about, we tend to want to walk one step away from God. God makes 2 steps forward, closer, even yet to us. So you can't run away from His calling for you because He saw you even before you saw yourself. He knows the promise He has in each of us. And so He's looking forward to working His promises through in all of us. So powerful yesterday. I promise Ambassador Commercial will talk a little bit about this at the top of the show. And so we're having our conversations on CARICOM today. We're having a lot happening as well because we're heading off to Antigua to get an update on the final weekend of campaigning before Thursday's poll. We'll be talking a little bit today also about a essay writing competition that's provided through the Commonwealth. And we get a sense of the historian's perspective of what it meant to be able to form that committee that looked at deciding the 10 at the time who will become national heroes, and we'll get an update from the Barbados Alzheimer's Association following a recent conference in France. So a lot to get to today. I ain't wasting no more time. Ambassador Commercial, good morning to you.
Morning, Pearson.
Ahead of it, National Heroes Day is coming up, and we want to take a look at our 10 national heroes, or 11 now.
Yes,
and so the rationale and who they are and their contribution to Barbados and CARICOM in general. So where do we start in this journey of empowerment and understanding?
Well, happy National Heroes Day to you as well. I wanted us to focus this morning on the 11 national heroes, but not on what we tend to focus on every year, that is their contribution to Barbados, but I wanted us to take a look at their Caribbean integration record, because each of them, as much as they are important to Barbados, each of them played an important role or have a connection with the wider Caribbean. So I would like us to look at that, and I would also like to put forward to our viewers a way in which we could celebrate National Heroes Day, because I find we started this holiday way back, 1998, but we have never really worked out in our minds the correct way to celebrate it. I think it should be a day on which we really focus on these national heroes, their life stories, and I think a way in which we could celebrate it is to have a kind of pilgrimage where we go and visit. We visit different sites associated with each of the heroes, and we also visit the family monument in Bridgetown, in National Hero Square, because at the family monument you have the 11 stelae that actually give you the story of each of the national heroes. So let it be a family occasion. Where either you begin with the family monument or you end with the family monument, but then you visit Sir Garfield's statue at Kensington Oval, you visit Tyrrell Cott, associated with Grantley Adams, or government headquarters, his statue, Frank Walcott's statue at the National Insurance. You visit Golden Square, Freedom Park, where you give credit to Clement Payne, or Independence Square, Errol Barrow, and we can the Bussa statue.
Heard's Memorial for Sarah Ann Gill.
Yes, or Sarah Ann Gill's grave is in the graveyard of James Street Methodist Church, just immediately behind the church. So there are all of these sites in very close proximity with each other. Let it be a family day, and especially take out the young ones.
Yes.
Take out the young ones, take them to the different locations, and as I said, either begin with the family monument, where they can actually read the bios, or end with the family monument.
Sounds good to me, indeed. I mean, it's more than spending a picnic. This is not a picnic. We tend to think public holidays are for picnicking and beach going and the like. In this instance, there's a reason why it's National Heroes Day. And these people who we celebrate as national heroes ought to be honored still for time immemorial. And so in that pilgrimage, that's what we're doing. We're having moments of reflection, of self, as well, and determination to mirror in whatever ways we possibly can their contribution, not just to Barbados but to the region.
Yeah. The nation is important. Collectivities are important because we live single individual existences, and the day will come when we are no longer here. But to the extent that we are part of something bigger than ourselves, we contribute to building something bigger than ourselves. It's the family, it's the national institution, ultimately it's the nation. We are part of something that lives on after us. And this is why I stress families, because the family also makes a contribution to the nation. And each family, each Barbadian family should have some consciousness.
Yes.
Of what contribution, what its family heritage is, and what contribution it has made and that it continues to make to the nation. But it's important that we have that sense of the nation that we are all contributing to, and that we are all a part of, and that will go on after we have left this earthly scene. So it kind of carries that essence of us. And these 11 national heroes really tell the story of the nation of Barbados. The first one, Bussa, takes us to the slavery period. And if we think of Bussa, well, the Caribbean connection is this. The only reason we achieved that emancipation, and Bussa and the Bussa Rebellion of 1816 played a big role in helping us to achieve the abolition of slavery in 1834. But the only reason we achieved it was because those slave rebellions were coming fast and furious, not from any single West Indian colony, but from all. Demerara, 1823, Jamaica, 1831, Barbados, 1816, and Michael Creighton tells us that there were 75 major slave conspiracies or rebellions in the British West Indies, and it is that ultimately led. So we have to see, ultimately led to the abolition. So we have to see Bussa within that wider Caribbean context. And I have a little secret for Bajans. You know that statue that we call Bussa? That was actually supposed to be an image of Guyana's coffee.
Really?
Carl Broodhagen designed that image. There was a competition in Guyana to create an image for Coffee, who was the leader of their 1763 slave rebellion in Berbice. And Broodhagen's design was rejected by the Guyanese, apparently because they thought he was too Bajan,
Yes.
not understanding that he was actually a Guyanese who came to live in Barbados. But anyhow, when Elambe Motley, when we came to recognize the 150th anniversary of the abolition, he found this powerful piece in Broodhagen's at Broodhagen's home and in his studio, and he got this to commemorate the emancipated slave. But the Bajan people said, no, no, that's his Bassa. So it became Bassa. So Guyana's coffee is today Barbados' Bassa. Caribbean.
Little known fact. No, we do know.
Well, Elambe Motley gave me that story.
So I thank you, Elambe. But again, it shows the Caribbean essence, what we're talking about. And so many of the 11 have been people who stood up strong within a Caribbean context.
Yes.
I mean, Sir Grantley Adams himself, the right excellent
Prime
contribution.
Minister of the Federation. Yes, yeah. I mean, one that really stands out with the Caribbean connection is Samuel Jackman Prescott.
Coming to him.
Samuel Jackman Prescott. But he was a champion of the free-colored, but he was also the champion of the newly emancipated black people after the abolition of slavery. And he had this brilliant idea in 1840, slavery had just been abolished, that for the newly freed class to go forward in the West Indies, we had to come together. We had to establish a federal enterprise. He called it the Colonial Union of Colored People, or the Colonial Colored Union. And the idea was that he was going to establish a political organization that would bring together all of the newly freed people of Barbados and Trinidad and St. Lucia, all of the West Indian colonies. And Samuel Jackman Prescott had very close contacts with both the Leeward Islands. In fact, his wife was an Antiguan, Catherine. So she put him in contact with activists all in that part of the Caribbean. And he also had contacts across the Windward Islands. So the prospect of him establishing this colonial colored union was so frightening to the colonial authorities and the white plantocratic authorities of the day, that they did everything possible to hobble it, to destroy it. Eventually they were successful, but they were successful in stopping it. However, I mean, he had, a couple hundred years before our modern Caribbean integration movement, this national hero of Barbados had conceptualized the federal enterprise. And you speak of the Methodist Church, so we have to talk about Sarah Ann Gill. What is her Caribbean connection? Well, in 1823, when that racist white mob tore down the James Street Chapel and assaulted Reverend William Shrewsbury, the Methodist missionary, Shrewsbury had to flee from Barbados. Where did he find refuge? He found refuge in neighboring St. Vincent. So that was his place of refuge. And Sarah Ann Gill, one of the reasons we lift her up so high is because by her example and her struggle for the Methodist Church, for the idea that enslaved people and colored people should have access to religion, to be members of the church, to practice their religion in the face of white racists who saw the Methodist Church as a threat to their system of slavery and white dominance. Eventually, her example was so inspiring that it came through the Methodist Missionary Society in England. It came to the attention of the British Parliament.
Whoa.
And the British Parliament passed that resolution based on her struggle that made religious toleration, an official edict right across the British West Indies. So the entire West Indian community benefited from the struggle of Barbados's Sarah Ann Gill. And you know, we can look at each one of them. I mean, Clement Payne, well, I mean, he's born in Trinidad to Barbadian parents, sent here. He was the leader of a very important institution in Trinidad, the Negro Welfare Social and Cultural Association, sent to Barbados, played such a tremendous role in organizing the working class in Barbados, deported back to Trinidad. And Clement Payne could legitimately be a national hero of not just Barbados, but also of Trinidad, you know. So any one of them you name, Pearson, you're going to find that as much as they are a hero of Barbados, they did work or had connections that make them a hero of Caribbean integration as well.
And there's a lot more we can learn about this ahead of tomorrow's National Hero Day. We'll take a break right here. We're coming back with more on our conversations on CARICOM.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb, and together we will travel the world.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
In this Conversations on CARICOM today with Ambassador Commichon, we're looking at our national heroes of Barbados, but really truly there are, within context, national heroes of the Caribbean. And we've been challenged as a people to use the holiday known as National Heroes Day to form our own pilgrimage with our people, with ourselves, with our children, to really visit memorial sites to these national heroes and the historic family monument, which is in National Hero Square, once again to connect to who we are, from whom we've come, and then we begin to tell our stories as well and to chart our contribution to development of self, nation, and CARICOM. So, Ambassador, these stories are so interesting to me, honestly. There's a lot that I'm learning as I listen, and I know you have coming up very soon the Sarah Ann Memorial Lecture.
Oh yes,
I want to give you an opportunity to talk about that quickly.
I should really mention that. Yes, I've been asked to deliver this year's Sarah Ann Gill Memorial Lecture. It's on Wednesday, the 13th of May at Bethel Methodist Church, 7 o'clock. So I've chosen as my topic John Wesley's thoughts upon slavery, a famous 30-page booklet that he wrote back in 1774, his thoughts upon slavery, and I'm using it as a prism through which to assess the Methodist Church's anti-slavery record, but also to assess our contemporary reparations campaign. So this is everyone should be there because we are going to explore a very, very important part of our heritage, and we are going to bring to light a brilliant emancipatory document that thoughts upon slavery that the world needs to know much more about. So I invite everybody to be there.
May the 13th,
Yes.
Bethel Methodist Church on Bay Street. What time does it start?
7 o'clock is
7 in the evening. All right.
Speaking subject to,
So-
to correction.
But knowing Pearson, I will remind you for sure is why you should be there and where it is and all of those details. So, our 11 national heroes have all found themselves in endeavors across the region, not just locally alone, that have impacted people everywhere. And there's some whose name we haven't yet mentioned, but politically and in terms of the labor movement, in entertainment and the like.
Sir Frank Walcott. Well, Sir Frank, after being involved with the early development of the Barbados Workers' Union, went on to be a prime mover in developing a regional labor organization called CADERIT. It was actually the Caribbean division of the International Confederation of Free Trade Unions, their regional body, and that ultimately became the Caribbean Congress of Labor. So Frank Walcott, in addition to playing a very important role in Barbados labor organization, was a very important Caribbean labor leader. So Hugh Springer, he too, early Secretary General of the Barbados Workers Union, but in around 1947, having done that important pioneering work in Barbados, he left to take up the appointment as the first registrar of the newly established University College of the West Indies in Mona. So he played a very important regional role in developing the University of the West Indies. He went on to be the director of the Institute of Education at UWI. So he served UWI for some 20 years. Errol Barrow, well, I mean, his record, this is the Caribbean integration man par excellence, you know. The architect of Carifta, the founder member of CARICOM. So his record, and even his family connections. I mean, his family has a strong connection with St. Vincent. He himself, as an infant, he spent the early years of his life in the St. Croix, United States Virgin Islands. Right Excellent Sir Garfield Sobers, the man who took over the mantle of Sir Frank Worrell. Frank Worrell is credited with actually welding the West Indies cricket team into a Caribbean unit for the first time. Before Frank's captaincy, they were all, you know, they were not a regional unit. So you had players from Barbados and players from Guyana and Trinidad, but he was the first captain that really brought them together and made them a regional enterprise. And once that happened, they really showed their true strength.
Yes.
You know, and Frank retired at the age of 39. Sobers took over the mantle, and it was Sobers who took that West Indies team to the pinnacle of becoming the world champions, you know, beating Australia in 1963, and then having that team virtually rule the world, at least for the next 3 to 4 years. So Rihanna, well, Rihanna is the product of a Guyanese mother and a Bajan family. So in her very makeup, her early upbringing, you have that Caribbean integration aspect, but also in her music. You know, she's from Barbados, but she also embraced the music of Jamaica, and you see that Caribbean impulse in her music. And of course, Rihanna is beloved all across our
world.
Caribbean community. So, folks, tomorrow is the day when we reflect on these 11 outstanding individuals. Go and visit Rihanna's house at Westbury Road. That's one of the. Go and visit the Golden Square Freedom Park. Go and visit Samuel Jackman Prescott's grave in the St. Mary's Churchyard, and then go over to James Street Methodist for Sarah Ann Gills, you know. So let tomorrow be a day when we bring the family together, We go and visit all of these locations. We especially introduce young members of the family to these stories. And we end up, or we begin at that family monument, because that is going to give you this all 11 biographies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything. What date it will be tomorrow. Starts today, though. Think about it and make sure you have a big plan, folks. Thank you so much, Ambassador
My
Kamishang.
pleasure, Pearson.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
His Excellency David Kamishang, Barbados Ambassador to CARICOM, as we took a look at National Heroes of Barbados and in a celebration of National Heroes Day tomorrow, encouraging us to take the pilgrimage, move around, visit those historic sites as well. But we look at the heroes within context of the CARICOM contribution. What have we given to CARICOM as well? And we've given much to celebrate. Morning Barbados takes a break here. We're coming back in a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Preserve your personal priceless memories. Here at CBC, we transfer VHS, DVDs, Beta, U-matic, and DV cam tapes to modern digital formats. Safely, quickly, and affordably. Call CBC on 467-5437 to get started. In just 2 weeks, your memories will be ready to relive and share again.
Are you ready to turn it all the way up? We make you feel good. Your #1 party station. Non-stop hits and the latest trends in music, fashion, and everything lit. Hit us up on socials at 981 Barbados on IG and 98.1 The One on Facebook. This is your world, your playlist, your station. 98.1 The One.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
In 3 days, Antiguan and Barbudans will go to the polls in their double island, indeed. And so we are getting ready now to get a glimpse into what that final weekend of campaigning looked like and what are some of the discussion points that people are still talking about ahead of the polls. Joining us yet again is our friend now, our broadcast journalist and senior reporter, Teresa Godwin. You see that name again? Teresa, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us yet again. Now, here it is. We are into just days before general elections in Antigua and Barbuda. Over the weekend, there were lots of things happening like motorcades and campaigns. Talk to me a little bit about the mood generally and what are some of the talking points coming out of that major election campaign?
So, just a reminder again, we have the ruling Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party and the main opposition United Progressive Party. On the sister isle of Barbuda, we have the Barbuda People's Movement, and we also have 3 independent candidates who are also entering the electoral race on the 30th of April. Campaign activity, yes, most definitely has intensified. The last evening, the ruling Antigua and Barbuda party had what they called a megacade, island-wide megacade. And what's on the ground for the ruling party is a campaign under the theme, The Renaissance, a New Era. The Prime Minister is projecting confidence and aiming for a stronger mandate in 2023. They've been holding rallies, media appearances, and the party is emphasizing economic growth, infrastructure, health expansion, tourism, and the housing initiatives. The United Progressive Party, which on the weekend launched their manifesto, actually, they're using mostly grassroots digital campaign and so forth. A lot of AI. If it's one thing, you see a lot of AI in this campaign trail. So you go online, there's a lot of rhetoric. There's a lot of they're taking full advantage of AI. The UPP, as again, launched its manifesto and the campaign website. They're signaling a stronger push to supporters and presenting a diaspora affairs portfolio a $20,000 business portfolio, $2,000 youth land, but youth 2,000 youth land plots for citizens under 30. The opposition leader Jamal Pringle is also framing the election as an opportunity for change and inclusion. UPP says it's focused on youth activity, entrepreneurship, governance reform, and that is some of the issues on their are some of the forefront of their campaign. The public, again, the dialogue continues about the cost of living in Antigua and Barbuda, employment opportunities. There's also a huge demand for housing and public utilities, public infrastructure, access to water, and the road infrastructure. I do admit there's a road rehabilitation program that would have started the latter part of 2023, and it has intensified in recent years, but it's a continuation process where the access to water also, that's another challenge. And we're going into the dry period, so that would be another situation where access to water, the government has tried to bolster that with the creation of reverse osmosis plants in some of the areas to ensure that the demand, they are able to supply, to provide the demand. There's also a repiping exercise, because now that you have increased access, there's issue with distribution. So there's a repiping exercise that is going on right now to ensure that the age-old pipes are replaced, and that will certainly address areas of distribution. So that is still some of the key issues. On the Sister Isle, Barbuda, there's a land ownership, there's a land tenure situation where Barbudans are of the view that the land is owned in common by the people. That is the thrust for the Barbuda People's Movement. The government is indicating that if you have land ownership, you have some sort of equity. So this is one of the highlights that the ABLP in Barbuda is pushing to ensure that Barbudans understand it's not just communal land rights. You need to have your title deed, your certificate, your land certificate. So just in case you may want to go to the bank, there's some level of equity. However, the Barbuda People's Movement continue to indicate that the land is owned by the people. So that's the tentative issue and the very heating issue on the Sister Island there.
Sounds exciting indeed for me. I also heard on the weekend the gentleman who leads your electoral commission speaking to about encouraging people to come for the electoral card as an ID of some sort. I don't quite understand that, because in the Barbadian context, we just use our ID card. But you seem to have a special card that is renewed every cycle, electoral cycle. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Not necessarily. So it's called the Voters Identification Card. That is specifically under the Representation of the People's Amendment Act that governs our election here in Antigua and Barbuda. That specific card is issued. There were some issues where we were talking about electoral reform. So we were supposed to, because the vote, we are, in the Caribbean, there's always a situation where they say the voters list need to be cleaned. And over time, individuals would have died and the list would have had to be updated. So there were some talks about modernizing the electoral system. However, when we look at the election climate, and there was a projection that there would have been an early election, instead of a total modernization, the Antigua and Barbuda Electoral Commission opted to do a re-registration. So individuals, the voter's ID would have been expired. So there was a push to renew the voter's ID. Now, that process, even though they have been using campaigns to encourage individuals to, hey, go and make sure that your voter's identification card is valid, that process has been a bit slow. However, since we had a by-election in one of the constituencies earlier this year, there was a rush to ensure that all your cards are updated, because without that card, that is your ID, that is your passport come April 30. So since then, there's been a ramp up though in certain areas, and it's a continual process. You have both parties now are even pushing their supporters to encourage them, ensure that you go out to make sure that your ID is valid. And they've even started to do campaigns. Do you need a ride to go to your registration center? Do you need this? Because this is a critical document that you need to have your say to participate in the electoral process. So it's just that it was an ongoing process. However, because now we're in the situation where we have a snap election, then there's a ramp up now, and the efforts have intensified to ensure that the electorate is properly and duly registered to participate in the polls.
And what's the comment by the opposition relative to what you've just said in terms of the readiness of the Electoral Commission?
Well, I would say everybody's on board, because the Electoral Commission has been pushing this for about 4 or 5 years now, that you need to go and ensure that the IDs are valid. So it's not necessarily, it wouldn't be necessarily a difficulty on their part. They have been doing their part. And I think both political parties understand that this is what has been happening. But so as Antigua and Barbuda and maybe some parts of the Caribbean, there's always a late rush or an 11th hour situation. So this is really what's happening. So to bolster that, both parties are just trying to do their own campaigning to ensure that their supporters are ready. The Electoral Commission would have also gone a bit further by extending their opening hours, extending to weekend hours, just to accommodate individuals to ensure that they are fully and duly registered and their cards are valid. So I think it's a situation where they now realize it's more of a national effort, and the national effort is being pushed by the polls coming on April 30.
Last election in 2023 was a very close result, with the ABLP achieving 47.06% of the votes to the UPP's 45.22%. Indeed, well, you know what happened in Barbuda. And so talk to me about how close that is, one, and what are some of the projections from either party as to what they suspect might be their response, the voters' response to their propaganda ahead of April 30th?
Well, the ABLP is running their campaign basically on continuity and what they termed as proven governance. The UPP now is asking for a renewal, opportunity, and reform. It's a bit of a yes, and one of the things that I find that the ABLP is also doing, in February, we had the by-election in that's North, where the ABLP candidate would have won convincingly over the UPP's caretaker. So I think that would have been the momentum to even lead us into a snap election. So I think so far it seems like this is what they're campaigning on and they're pushing. And we have a situation now where some people would say that the opposition party is a bit vulnerable at this time. So that is what the leadership, in fact, there's a leadership struggle of sorts, and there's a number of individuals would have bowed out at the last minute where the opposition party is concerned. So I think it's more of a play on that vulnerability that the ABLP is using to ensure that, hey, they lack structure, they lack unity, they lack the leadership qualities to really take governance of this country. So here's what you're doing: is either you're taking a risk or you continue on the platform that we have been laying out for the past 9.5 years. Well, not necessarily 5 years, but yes. So I think that's the play on it.
Let's look at the optics for just a moment now, because I see pictures everywhere and see pictures of the ABLP's massive response by its people, its followers. And then you contrast that with what is the response by the UPP's followers as well. What sense do you get is the story to be told by that?
It's exciting, and at face value, it would seem, based on the numbers, that this is what's happening. But knowing Antigua and Barbuda's history, sometimes the numbers at the end of the day, the numbers at the end of close of polls on April 30 would be the defining moment, because the opposition party, the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party, is known to gather, and they command a stronger support, yes, in terms of youth, and by the activities that they're promoting. The question is, would that translate into voter support, or it just translate in the activity that you're promoting to ensure that you got a good support. Because let's be reasonable. In some instances, this weekend we had a free concert where it was a star-studded lineup. A lot of young people would have attended, but out of that number of young people who would have attended, how many are even eligible to vote? That is some of the pointers right there. So it's still a bit. I know that the numbers is a numbers game at some point, but I would believe it's fair enough to the numbers at the end of the close of polls would determine what happens. But if you look on the gun and you focus on numbers in the terms of attendance at the different events, you would say yes, the ruling Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party is in the lead or commanding the majority support. But we have a situation where we have a low, very, very low voter turnout. And it's anticipated at this point because, as I said, because of the vulnerability of the opposition party, a lot of individuals are saying, hey, I'm not even going to vote. I'm never going to participate. So it's left to be said what happens at the end of the day.
Well, like you, we wait to hear what's said at the end of the day. And, you know, Friday is for us a public holiday, so no show. But I hope on Monday, Monday's a public holiday for you as well?
So Friday is naturally the day after the general election is a public holiday. Monday is a public holiday, the Labor Day actually. The day of that, the ADLC is marked for celebration. So it's also, but for us in Antigua and Barbuda, especially within the media, the public holiday means absolutely nothing. It's a regular working day for us. So we don't get that luxury to say we have a day off.
So now you've said that, I will want to talk to you on Monday for sure, post the poll, to get a sense of what's going on. Your commitment?
That's not a problem.
Thank you so much, Teresa. Absolutely. As always, it's good to connect with you. Teresa Gordon-Goodwin from Antigua and Barbuda. She's a broadcast journalist and a senior reporter, giving us insight into what's happened in the last few days, indeed, because Antiguan and Barbudans are going to the polls on Thursday, the 30th of April. And we want to hear the outcome of those polls as well. Morning Barbados breaks here. We're back in a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country?
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Millie went to Brazil. Kyla went to France. Kyla went to France to celebrate, to really represent us as a people at a very important conference that was held there. She's Kyla Branch. She is what I call now really the head of the Barbados Alzheimer's Association, but you're really just the
executive board member.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. She's modest.
Yes, I know, but to be fair, we actually do have our president, Dr. Ivan Springer, and of course, I am executive board member. I have been with the association as well for some time. Of course, persons when they hear about the association, they cannot not think about Pamelia Burton.
Yes.
And you know me, I like to always give credit to Pamelia because I certainly would not have been involved with the association had it not been for Pamelia, and of course, other persons like Dr. Ermine Bell, who would have formed a steering committee, and that developed into the Barbados Alzheimer's Association as we see it today, you know, constantly lobbying for persons who have dementia and, of course, their caregivers who are certainly trying to manage this very heartbreaking condition.
So there was scouring social media, and I saw you somewhere else. What were you doing in France?
So in France this year, and I'm thankful for the opportunity, the 37th Global Conference of Alzheimer's Disease International was held in Lyon, France. And I submitted 2 abstracts for the conference, and they were basically accepted for presentation. And of course, I was very happy about that, certainly, not only to represent in terms of what we're doing here in Barbados, but certainly to ensure that we have our global practices and best practices that can be seen. And the conference certainly was very well attended. We had thousands of persons who were there, and it was very, very interesting for me because not only on a professional and of course personal level, but when we're thinking of things like, for example, I know we spoke about this last year, where the dementia is now listed as an essential NCD through the UN General Assembly. And this is, of course, a big thing. It is something that we must recognize, especially since Barbados is an aging population. So a number of these things go hand in hand in terms of the global reach to ensure that we're all working together, which we must, to ensure that we do have dementia inclusive and friendly societies.
What was Barbados' message then?
So for Barbados at the conference, the abstracts basically centered around creating a dementia-friendly Barbadian society, as well as youth promotion and inclusivity. Because, you know, when we think about dementia, I know a lot of persons tend to think that we're only talking about an aging population. The reality is that yes, while age is a risk factor, it is not a normal part of aging. Dementia is not a normal part of aging, and we're trying to get some of these misconceptions, of course, allayed. And so when we're considering or in consideration of the youth aspect, it's really with a view to Barbados, one, is an aging population. It is anticipated that by 2050, 1 out of 2 persons will be over the age of 60 years old. And so we must plan, we must always have some succession. And in an effort to have a dementia-friendly society, we obviously must start with planting seeds as of yesterday. Because, you know, we can't benefit from the shade of a tree in the future if we're not planting a seed today. And so we do need to have that youth inclusion sometimes. And there's so many things I can talk about, but even at the conference, we had Lorenzo's House, which is a global advocate for younger persons who are facing the younger onset dementia. And this, of course, would mean, remember, we talk about dementia, we talk about the fact that, yes, persons over the age of 65 generally are those persons considered. However, we have younger onset dementia, which happens under the age of 65. And sometimes a lot of younger people are actually the informal caregiver for their parents, for their relatives, and they're sitting there almost invisibly sometimes when trying to manage the condition. And so Lorenzo's House actually, as a global platform, tries to connect these younger persons because they too have a voice. I mean, can you imagine, for example, if you have your relative who is 50-something, obviously still in the world of work, with young children, managing this condition, which of course includes memory loss, reducing cognitive function. And so therefore we would anticipate that eventually there is going to be a financial burden borne. I mean, certainly if persons had not planned for this, which most people do not, you can even think about the fact that some of these young people will be thinking about, okay, well, should this person pass, where am I going to live? You know, who is going to be supportive of me? I mean, I am obviously still in school, so there are lots of things that must be discussed, even when we discuss caregiving, because I know when we think about caregiving, we usually talk about compassionate caregiving, and we're focused on the person with the dementia, but we must also focus on the relatives and the caregiver as well. And so there were so many different things that we brought to bear. I mean, certainly in Barbados, we have a very strong focus on the youth. Of course, remember planting that seed, And I'm sure I always like to make a point of some examples. And so, for example, the Make a Book project, an excellent project in conjunction with the Ministry of Education, the National Library Service. And this project also allowed for young persons. In fact, last year, the person who won that competition, 9-year-old Brianna Drakes from St. Gabriel's School, she wrote a lovely story about the magic of remembering. And so it's one thing to have a younger person, and just to mention, her grandfather actually had Alzheimer's disease. And so from her point of view, she was able to write this story, which means that not only is she also then contributing to ensuring that persons can see things through her lens, but then with the National Library Service and the Ministry of Education's partnership, it allows access for other 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, younger people to be able to read and access this information. And so we continue that this year, and certainly just as a small plug, we do have the Make a Book for this year, and the story will be the Forget-Me-Not Garden. So any primary school students who wish to know, put things in place, research things about Alzheimer's, and of course come up with your story for the Forget-Me-Not Garden can certainly enter that competition as well. But the focus maintains that we have to ensure that these younger persons are involved, because who then will become the advocates of tomorrow, the researchers of tomorrow, the healthcare professionals of tomorrow, we need the policymakers of tomorrow. We're certainly not going to be here forever. And so these are the things that we try to inculcate from this time.
What were the expected outcomes of the conference, though, and how beneficial has it truly been for you and for the Barbados Alzheimer's Association to be there? Yes,
well, the highlight of the conference, and I can tell you that significantly, not only were we able to have the presentations being seen, but I was also able, obviously, to see other persons' presentations. And so, of course, we had, remember, it's a global platform. So we have a number of persons who were there, not only from the healthcare field, but certainly with respect to research as well, to see what is happening. Of course, when we're thinking of dementia, we have, of course, the 14 risk factors, which means that we must look at modifying these 14 risk factors in order to reduce our risk of dementia. The fact that we do have that connection with NCD, it's not just to say, okay, we're going to have a broad stroke and just focus on the cardiometabolic issues, but we have to include within our planning, and this of course is policy and governmental planning, not only to focus on the cardiovascular risk factors, but we have to include other components which would of course serve dementia as well. And those things would of course be educational input and activity. We want to ensure that persons have social interaction. We want to of course ensure that areas like depression and anxiety are also minimized. And of course, hearing as well is a risk factor, hearing loss. And so all of these things must be included in our plans for prevention. Remember, as I mentioned, a lot of misconceptions do abound, and we want to ensure that these things are fully grasped and in full frame of mind, because we do have that aging population.
I'm told to hit a pause right here. But you know what? It's a conversation to be continued. Kyla.
No problem.
And I'm glad you're excited to come back to me then.
Yes, certainly. I am.
Thank you so much for sharing briefly just what you experienced in the conference, and then we can develop conversations coming out of that, because I have some thoughts.
That is
so
no
thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much, person.
Kyla Branch, executive member of the Barbados Alzheimer's Association. What a moment she had in Lyon, France, indeed representing Barbados and putting a couple of cases on behalf of Barbados, and there she is interacting with some of the people. Of course, the flag of Barbados stands out wherever it is, and there is little Kyla on the stage presenting, and the people with whom she engaged while she was there over a few days, sharing the message of Barbados and learning about some other tools and techniques that we can also consider here. But that's a conversation for another time, and that other time will soon come. Morning Barbados takes a break right here. We're coming back with the news and more in a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb, and together we will travel the world.
This is where Barbadian football lives. Every Monday from 8:03 p.m., step onto the touchline. A 30-minute show featuring the BFA Premier League. Join Anmar Goodrich Boyce and Damian Best as they review the action. The goals, the grit, the glory, and the stories shaping the league. From kickoff to the final whistle, this is your front row seat to Monday Night Football. Touchline, bringing you closer to the BFA Premier League. See you on the Touchline, live on TV8.
Touchline, sponsored by Dasani. Live first, Dasani after. And Powerade. Pause is power.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Let's look at the news now. Barbados political leaders turned out in full force yesterday as the Barbados Labour Party marked its 88th anniversary with a Founders' Day service. The packed congregation at Bethel Methodist Church heard a powerful message about moral responsibility and national direction. Here's a report from Deanza Roberts.
The pews of Bethel Methodist Church were filled as Prime Minister Mia Amu Motley, Deputy Prime Minister Santia Bradshaw, Attorney General Wilfred Abrams, and members of Cabinet gathered to mark the Barbados Labour Party's 88th anniversary. The service, which coincided with the 4th Lord's Day of the Resurrection, blended reflection with a call to action. Brother Robert Cumberbatch drew from the story of Amos, urging Barbadians to examine their own moral compass and the choices they make daily.
As we look at what has been happening in crime in Barbados, and we say, but those people who see these people and witness it, why don't they come forward and give evidence? And statistics says that when you have people who are witnesses, the quicker they can come forward to the authorities and let the authorities know what is going on, the quicker the authorities can deal with the issue. But of course, if you are in an area and something is happening and it involves your neighbor who you're in good cahoots with, then you have a decision to make.
The message resonated beyond the church walls, touching on issues of justice, accountability, and national responsibility. Prime Minister Mia Amu Motley, addressing the congregation, reflected on the party's legacy and the challenges ahead. She noted the party was founded in a time of global upheaval and warned that today's world mirrors similar uncertainty.
We have much to be thankful for as a party, much to give thanks for, not only in terms of our legacy, but in terms of the current work that we're doing. But we equally have much to do still. And it is against that background that we come here today, Brother Cumberbatch, to ask you to guide us for the Lord's blessings, because as we continue on this journey, we're conscious that the challenges that are facing us are more complex than perhaps we have seen for the majority of our life since the early days of our foundation.
The Prime Minister also called on supporters to recommit to service, stressing that national progress requires collective effort.
That in spite of however well we may appear to be doing today, if ever there was a time for this political institution to redouble its efforts in political education, in political mobilization, and in political commitment in order to stabilize this nation's growth and to stabilize our commitment for the renewal of the purpose for which we were established, it is now.
As the Barbados Labour Party celebrates 88 years, today's service served as both a moment of reflection and a reminder of the work still ahead. Deanza Roberts, CBC News.
Well, Barbadians were dazzled by a halo which appeared around the sun yesterday, and it became a talking point for many throughout the day. Images and videos have been making the rounds on social media showing a distinct halo around the circumference of the sun. It is known as a 22-degree halo, which is an atmospheric optical phenomenon. Chief meteorologist at the Caribbean Institute of Meteorology and Hydrology, Kathy Ann Caesar, says it's nothing to worry about.
It's just a natural phenomenon that occurs usually when we have what we call a sheet of high clouds, cirrostratus clouds in the atmosphere at the same time that we're having the sun moving overhead. This time of the year, the sun is orientating towards the north, and so it's going to be overhead Barbados at this time of the year. At the same time, we're having a nice sheet of cirrostratus clouds moving across us made up of crystals, ice crystals. So as the sun now comes overhead up just about closer to noon right over us, it's going to be at such an angle that the ice crystals are going to refract the light coming out of the sun, and it's going to form this kind of a rainbow around the sun, and that's the halo effect. So it's just a refraction of light. It's just a phenomena of refraction of light within the high ice crystals.
Well, Ms. Caesar notes that the phenomenon can occur again.
You just have to have the right set of factors happening at the same time. So it could have happened, so for example, if we did not have the sheet ice, the cirrus clouds across us, we wouldn't have seen the halo. But it's nothing to be afraid of. It is actually just a wonderful phenomena of nature that will happen. If you look at it, it's even more unusual today because you're seeing, in some cases, you'll see two halos. If you look at it on the outer rim, particularly to the east, if you're looking at it, you will see two halos because the sheet of ice crystals is so wide.
The ultimate Barbados Reggae Weekend concluded last night. One of the events which received high marks was the Guinness Showdown. Anesta Henry and our photographer Christopher Wood were at Kensington Oval to capture the vibes.
The Guinness Showdown, powered by CBC's 98.1 The One, was the place for real dancehall lovers. It was truly a case of dancehall vibes taking center stage with the perfect mix of the new generation. From live performances to DJ music, the large crowd had a balanced serving of dancehall hits. From the time the DJ announced Popcan's arrival, the crowd went wild. Popcan was definitely the crowd favorite, and clearly the audience was waiting patiently to see him. The patrons could not get enough of his big energy performance as he asked them to gather in their family with his hit Family, and revved up with raving, called on the females to gather in their pretty girls crew and never fear them. Jamaican dancehall and reggae artist Capleton was also well received. The crowd was jumping and singing along to his biggest thought-provoking hits, such as That Day Will Come, Jaja City, Bad Mind, I Will Survive, and Burn Them Down. General Degree got the crowd moving as he delivered several of his hits, including My Girls. Also performing at the showdown were rising local dancehall sensations, including Master T, Brutal Prankster, Doje, and Idea the Artist. Reggae Weekend ends tonight with Reggae in the Gardens. The audience will see Grammy Award winner R&B singer Fantasia, and they will also see Dexter Daps, Cranium, and Spice and Company. Anesta Henry, CBC News.
Well, the festival concluded last night. In sports now, half centuries from Jonathan Drake's Captain Craig Brathwaite and Roston Chase pushed Barbados Pride past 300 runs on the opening day of round 3 in the West Indies 4-day championship against Jamaica Scorpions yesterday. Opting to take first knot at Sabina Park, Pride closed the day on 346 for 5 after Drake's fell on 94, Brathwaite on 74 and Chase unbeaten on 82. Here are the day's highlights.
That's a lovely shot. Yeah, the quick run there. The throw comes in. The throw is direct on the stumps, and he is out. Shane Mosley is run out. That's a nice punch to the extra cover region. That's delightful from Drake's. Will it get to...
Well, play today starts at 11 o'clock Barbados time. That's a look at news and sports until now. More news and sports coming up at 12 noon here on TV8. Morning Barbados comes back in a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
This is where Barbadian football lives. Every Monday from 8:03 p.m., step onto the touchline. A 30-minute show featuring the BFA Premier League. Join Anmar Goodrich-Boyce and Damien Best as they review the action, the goals, the grit, the glory, and the stories shaping the league. From kickoff to the final whistle, this is your front row seat to Monday Night Football. Touchline, bringing you closer to the BFA Premier League. See you on the touchline, live on TV8.
Touchline, sponsored by Dasani. Live first, Dasani after. And Powerade. Pause is power.
Preserve your personal priceless memories. Here at CBC, we transfer VHS, DVDs, Beta, U-matic, and DV cam tapes to modern digital formats. Safely, quickly, and affordably. Call CBC on 467-5437 to get started. In just 2 weeks, your memories will be ready to relive and share again.
Are you ready to turn it all the way up? We make you feel good. Your #1 party station.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Well, before I forget, let me say good morning to young Denzel. Denzel is 8 years old, and he came over to me after church yesterday morning to say, hey, he watches Morning Barbados. Denzel, have yourself a terrific today. Remember, God loves you, God sees you, God wants the best for you, but you have to put in a little bit of work. Have faith in God, because Jesus loves you as well. So, Denzel, have a good morning. Thank you for watching Morning Barbados. But there's a call for young people like you, Denzel, to enter a writing competition, and that's being put on by the Commonwealth Writing Society, I call it, indeed. But joining me is the Chief Operating Officer of the Royal Commonwealth Society in herself, Elizabeth van der Valk. Good morning to you, ma'am.
Good morning, Pearson, and delighted to join you to speak more about the Queen's Commonwealth Writing Competition.
Now, the closure date for entries is coming up in about 3 days, April the 30th. And let's talk a little bit about the history of this writing competition and for whom is this writing competition?
Yes, absolutely. So the Royal Commonwealth Society founded the Queen's Commonwealth Writing Competition in 1883. So it's actually the world's oldest writing competition for young people across the Commonwealth. And, you know, since 1883, since it was launched, we've seen young writers become future leaders. We have the Prime Minister of Singapore as a previous winner, Pulitzer Prize winning journalists, and leaders in all fields.
It used to be known as the essay competition, but this year you decided to rename it. Why?
Yes, so the competition has previously been known as the Queen's Commonwealth Essay Competition. So we've simply changed it with one word to writing, the Queen's Commonwealth Writing Competition, just to make it more inclusive and open to all forms of expression by young people. So this year, young people under 18, so all Commonwealth citizens and residents, can submit a piece of writing, and that can be a poem, an essay, a script, or even a piece of journalistic writing.
Mm-hmm. But there's some criteria that you're marking these essays, these writings by. And let's talk about the criteria. What are you looking for?
Yeah, so we're looking for the pieces to reflect on the theme. So this year's theme is Common Ground, Better Together. And through that, we're picking up on key areas. So there's 5 topics with various questions as part of that. So sport and community, culture, food, music and hobbies, protecting the environment and our natural world, shared identity, responsibility and common ground, and language, human connection and understanding. And through these various themes, what we're hoping young people will reflect on is the Commonwealth's values, and how we can all work together for a better world.
So the theme, young people, is common ground, better together. How can we as a community be better together by seeking common ground? And so you be as creative as you would want to be. You have until the 30th to get your entry in, and you can be expressive as you want to be as well. Tell your truth. That's okay. The deadline, though, is by midnight, just before midnight on the 30th indeed. And so are you limited by the number of words that you can contribute in your writing?
We are, yes. So we have one single age category, so up to 18 years at entry, and the word limit is 1,000 words.
Up to no more than 1,000 words, up to 18 years old. How do we submit our works?
Yeah, so entries can be submitted online via our website. So that is www.royalcwsociety.org. And there'll be an entry platform. So on our homepage, you can click on and submit your piece of writing.
It's as simple as that. Go to the website www.royalcwsociety.org and you look for all that you need to do to submit your work indeed. And so by the midnight of the 30th of this month, congratulations to all of you. Now you've broken this down into regions. And so break down, yes. Okay, once I've submitted, when do I hear from you that my submission has been accepted, and then what happens thereafter?
Yeah, so absolutely. So as soon as you submit your entry, you'll receive an acknowledgement that your piece has been received and a unique reference number. We then have a number of volunteer judges. So I think this year 750 volunteers across the Commonwealth reading these entries. So everyone will have their piece read and marked, and all receive a certificate of participation. In terms of the new regional awards, well, this is the first time we've had regional awards for this competition. So there'll be 5 winners, all who'll be invited to London. So one winner from each Commonwealth region. So those are the Americas and the Caribbean, Europe, Africa, Asia, and the Pacific. And as part of that prize, they get to come to London for what we call Winners' Week. So it's a really special and life-changing week where there's a special awards ceremony with Her Majesty the Queen and leading authors. I think you have one of our ambassadors there, Jerry Halliwell-Horner, and Giles Brandreth as well.
It's a big prize. It's a big prize. It means a lot to us of the Commonwealth, and so we want to encourage youngsters up until 18 years old to enter. The theme on which you write is Common Ground, Better Together. Common ground, better together. And you share why you believe that or why you don't believe that. Be as creative as you want to be and share your thoughts, share your expressions indeed. And you need to submit by just before midnight of the 30th of this month. So we just shared with you on your screen your countdown. Remember, you can log on right now to www.royalcwsociety.org and you land right there. That's where you are together. You see the theme, you complete your contribution, you upload it, and then you wait. Can we submit in video form? Because I see, or just in writing, because it's a writing competition.
Just in writing form. So I think the video below is the launch video, which actually includes a special message from our Vice Patron, Queen Camilla, as well.
All right, so write, folks, write. Whether it's a short story of 1,000 words, whether it's your manuscript of 1,000 words, whether it is a screenplay of 1,000 words, whatever you choose to do, it's all at you. We just want to hear your thoughts and your expressions on Common Ground, Better Together. And good luck to all of you as you enter on behalf of Latin America and the Caribbean. We're expecting to have ultimately a person from Latin America and the Caribbean be the winner of this year's Commonwealth Writing Society writing competition. I really want to encourage all of you to do so as soon as possible. I want to thank you, Elizabeth, for joining us this morning, Chief Operating Officer with the Royal Commonwealth Society, for telling our young people of another opportunity, not just to travel to London, but to share their thoughts and their ideas and be recognized for it as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Morning Barbados breaks here. We're coming back in a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Are you ready to turn it all the way up? We make you feel good. Your #1 party station. Non-stop hits and the latest trends in music, fashion, and everything lit. Hit us up on socials at 981 Barbados on IG and 98.1 The One on Facebook. This is your world, your playlist, your station. 98.1 The One.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We are 26 minutes after 7 o'clock. We are also a day away from National Heroes Day. The year was 1998. You know, when stories start like that, you begin to wonder what's going to happen next. But before that day of April the 28th, 1998, there were some things happening. We want to find out what those things were, what does history document about it, and so we could not think of anyone better to help us understand the stories than Dr. Henderson Carter. Good morning to you, my friend.
Good morning, Pearson. Good morning, listeners.
I am so glad you're here because really you are such a storyteller, but you're also telling us about ourselves. Talk to me about Barbados having made a decision that it's going to have a recognition of national heroes, the kinds of conversations back and forth that would have happened ensuing before that date, April the 28th, 1998.
Well, Pearson, that was an important date in our history. You know, prior to that, we did not really recognize our heroes. We knew about them, but there was no official recognition. And Prime Minister Arthur took that very critical decision to recognize our heroes, to recognize struggle, and to recognize those persons that sacrifice, persons that gave their all for the betterment of Barbados, for the betterment of the nation, and for the betterment of individuals. Let's consider what Errol Barrow did in 1962 when he gave free education to all Barbadians. Without that, we would have been probably in the fields, working, doing hard labor. And that paved the way. That paved the way for Barbadians to go to school at the primary level, the secondary level, without paying for textbooks, to enter the university, to do our first degree, and then to go on to do masters, to do PhDs. I mean, I got my education because of that. And without that strike of the pen, so to speak, where you're making the point that all Barbadians should have access to free education, you know, I would have been probably in a cane field cutting canes. And that has made a tremendous difference to the nation, to the country, to individuals. And that is why it is important to recognize these people who have sacrificed, who've made a difference to the nation.
I could well imagine, though, we'll get some more stories, yes, but the conversation at the time, the who should those people be?
Yes.
And then the who had the right to determine who those people be.
Yes.
So what does history document about that? The kind of struggle, the toss and the pull, everything that happened building up to final decisions.
There were a lot of names bandied about. You know, there was Frank Worrell. He was put in the midst. There was T.T. Lewis, a Barbadian nationalist, a white Barbadian, who was put in the midst. You also have people like John Redmond Bavell, an agronomist, a scientist, who was on our $2 bill. You know, there are lots of these people who were there. I mean, people like Louis Lynch, a head teacher at the Modern High School. There are lots of these individuals, but then they ended up choosing 10 in the initial stages.
Yes.
And I think that 10 was a very, very good choice because all 10 of them showed aspects of sacrifice and struggle. And all 10 of them really paved the way for us as a nation to develop. So at that point in the 1990s, historians were coming forward to, make their choices and to suggest people. And of course, you can't only suggest somebody, you have to justify it and say why these people should be recognized as heroes. So there was a lot of debate in Barbados. And, even after those heroes were chosen, people said, well, this person did not do enough, this person did not sacrifice enough, etc. And then even up to in the 2000s, there were individuals who were saying that certain people, I don't want to call their names, should not have been heroes. I say all of them. And you could find significant evidence to prove that point, that all of them sacrificed, all of them worked hard, gave up their circumstances, good circumstances. Consider Bussa. Bussa was a ranger who had a horse, who could roam the country, who could roam the plantation. He was a privileged enslaved black, but he gave up that privilege to strike a blow for freedom, to strike a blow for emancipation. And of course, he knew that should he fail, his head would be on the line. That is real sacrifice. And look what happened. Several years after emancipation came. Look at Sarah Ann Gill. Prior to Sarah Ann Gill holding meetings in her house, you know what happened? A white mob descended on the chapel, the Methodist chapel in Bridgetown, and picked it down block by block, laid it on the floor, and posted a handbill saying really to the Methodists, get out of town. The Methodist minister at the time, William Shrewsbury, had to run for his life. It is said that he got into a boat at Bats Rock with his pregnant wife, who later gave birth on the way to St. Vincent. He had to run from the country. And here's Sarah Ann Gill putting her hand up and saying, I will hold meetings in my house. Despite the threats. They threatened to burn down her house as well. They persecuted her. They prosecuted her. But yet she stood firm. This is a woman who should be a national hero. Now, they're detractors. Some people said, well, this is a colored woman who owned enslaved blacks. Yes. But I think we have to look at that moment where she stood up for Methodism. So Methodism is strong in Barbados today because of Sarah Ann Gill. Look, for example, at Charles Duncan O'Neill, who was a doctor, had a good practice, but yet he concentrated on the politics of the day, trying to improve the lives of Barbadians by campaigning. And one of the things that he did was to launch a campaign to end the practice whereby children were sent into the fields rather than being sent to school. He ended that practice of child labor, and he called out the planters for not only sending the children into the field, but by whipping them as well. Could you imagine in the 1930s, around 1934, 35, 36, that our children, 8, 9 years old, rather than going to school, were sent into the fields to pick pond grass, to do menial work, and then to be whipped. And when Charles Duncan O'Neill called out the planters retorted by saying, well, the headmasters also whip the children. So why can't we whip the children in the fields? So we stand on the shoulders of Charles Duncan O'Neill, and we stand on the shoulders of Grantley Adams. You know, April 28th is Grantley Adams' birthday. And Grantley Adams was the man who fought tooth and nail, along with Winter Crawford, and there's nothing on Winter Crawford. People say that he should be a hero. But Grantley Adams fought tooth and nail to give Barbadians the vote. There was a time in Barbados in 1935 when only 3,500 people voted in the entire country. Only 3,000 people voted. Grantley Adams fought for universal adult suffrage. He got it in 1950. And so in the 1951 general election, December 13th, the first of its kind in Barbados, 95,000 people came out to vote. From 3,500 to 95,000 people, women dressed up in their high heel shoes and their Sunday best, dragging out the men to vote, because there were some men who were very reluctant.
Yes.
And that vote was important in displacing the planter merchant elite from office. Because here's it, that the planters are now displaced and liberal blacks were now entering Parliament and making decisions for Barbadians. So that one of the first things that Adams did was to diversify the economy. So he was not going down that line of sugar agriculture anymore. Tourism, light manufacturing. And these two industries have made a difference to our lives today. They've transformed this nation. So when you hear people saying that they're not going to vote, they don't know the struggles that Adams went through to get Barbadians voting. You know, there was a time when Everton Weeks, who represented Barbados in cricket and the West Indies, he, having represented his country, he could not vote in his country.
Wow.
Adams stopped all of that. Look at Clement Payne. Payne came to this island. He was born in Trinidad, but raised in Barbados. And he came back in 1937 to talk about the deplorable social and economic conditions that people were experiencing. There was a time, Pearson, in this country when bakers would work during the night. So at 6 o'clock, the bakers are inside the bakeries, they're baking the bread so that the bread is fresh for the next morning. But you know what the employers would do? When the bakers go in, they would lock the bakers in the bakery, padlock, and they would come out early in the morning to release the padlock and let the bakers go. So for 12 hours, the bakers are in oppressive conditions, but not only oppressive, but dangerous conditions. Because should there be a fire, the bakers are locked in. It was Payne who spoke about these conditions. It was Payne who spoke about the low wages that Barbadians were getting. There was a time, Pearson, in this country between 1838 and 1937 when wages had not increased for 100 years. 100 years.
Wow.
Could you imagine 100 years and you're still getting the same wage?
Wow.
Payne spoke about those conditions. And of course, he paid the price because they deported him. Put on a plane, sorry, not a plane, a boat, sent back to Trinidad in 1937, and he died early. Payne died in 1941.
At the age of 37.
Yeah. And that, but he made a difference. He made a difference to our nation. Look, for example, at Hugh Springer. Hugh Springer became a workers' union advocate.
Yes.
And he was the man to really organize the Barbados Workers' Union. And in that period, you needed steady heads, strong leadership to build your institution. So Hugh Springer was an institutional builder in Barbados and the region. And that is what you are in a country. If you're looking to build your nation, you must have strong institutions, that they survived the test of time.
Yes.
Hugh Springer resigned his job at the Barbados Workers' Union. And guess where he went? He went to Mona campus to lead the university. Just started in the 1940s. He led the university, created all the rules and the ordinances. In those infant days, you needed an organizer. So when you look at these guys who are doing so well, who are blazing a trail for us, you could see where they have made a difference in our lives.
Frank Walcott.
Frank Walcott, another organizer for the trade union. But it was not just organizing for higher wages. It was organizing for development. And he made the union a strong union, a union that would claim economic enfranchisement for its workers. So when you look at Mangrove there's a workers' college so that workers could be educated. At Mangrove there is a housing development for workers. These are things that matter. And of course, Frank Walcott was also responsible for the Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union, now called Affinity Plus. And that is what you want. You don't only want an organization that goes out there and strike and that campaigns for higher wages, but you want an organization that campaigns for solid development of your people.
Robin Rihanna Fenty.
Robin Rihanna Fenty is a music icon, a global icon. And she meets the criteria on 3 points. First of all, she comes from humble circumstances. Westbury Road. And normally, people look at heroes as persons who have, live in the highest echelons, but not Rihanna. Comes from humble beginnings to be a global music icon. But not only is she a music icon, she's an entrepreneur, a line of beauty products. And she's an inspiration to other entrepreneurs who are coming there. Yeah. And she's also a philanthropist.
Indeed.
During COVID-19, it is said that she donated several ventilators to Barbados, but they never got here. But of course, she's made donations to that movement, that campaign to mitigate cancer in Barbados.
The Clara Lionel Foundation.
Yes.
So, Garfield Sobers.
Sir Garfield Sobers. Cricketing global excellence. And here is Sobers, who is dominating the world stage. From the 1950s right up to 1974, this man just dominated the world stage. From humble beginnings again. In Baylan, a small community, some say a depressed community, could reach such cricketing heights that blew the world away. And for me, he is an inspiration. And even in those days, in the 1950s and 60s, people used to wear their colors up.
Yes.
To mimic Sobers. And it is that global excellence that we treasure today. And, we are celebrating Heroes Day tomorrow. The key here is to get our young people to reflect on these men like Sobers, and of course, women like Rihanna, to reflect on their work, to say to themselves, I want to be a Rihanna. I want to be a Sobers. I want to be Arabara. And not only to say that, but to go out there and do the things that are necessary. A lot of this demands sacrifice. Sobers sacrificed a lot of things to make sure that he practiced and played hard so that he could be at the top. And here, Pearson, there are a lot of people in the world today who treasure these icons. And they look up on these people. But yet, today, we do not give them the due respect that they deserve. saw a man who came all the way from India to the university simply to see the graves of the 3 W's.
Wow.
Just to see the graves of these men.
And that's enough.
Yeah. And these men are treasured all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
This day that we celebrate tomorrow helps to remind us of their success. And I'm happy that, you know, the radio stations and the TV stations will be putting on activities so that we are reminded,
yes,
and that we are inspired to greater heights.
Here in today's lesson. I want to thank you so much, Dr. Carter. As always, inspiring, motivating, filled with knowledge, filling us with what you give as well. I thank you again. I always open my door, you know this, to have you come sit with me and to share with all of us the information that we need to absorb so that we become better people by it. Thank you so much.
A pleasure.
As always. Morning Barbados breaks right here. We're coming back in a moment.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Are you ready to turn it all the way up? We make you feel good. Your #1 party station. Non-stop hits and the latest trends in music, fashion, and everything lit. Hit us up on socials at 981 Barbados on IG and 98.1 The One on Facebook. This is your world, your playlist, your station. 98.1 The One.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb, and together we will travel the world.
This is where Barbadian football lives. Every Monday from 8:03 p.m., step onto the touchline. A 30-minute show featuring the BFA Premier League. Join Anmar Goodrich Boyce and Damien Best as they review the action, the goals, the grit, the glory, and the stories shaping the league. From kickoff to the final whistle, this is your front row seat to Monday Night Football. Touchline, bringing you closer to the BFA Premier League. See you on the touchline, live on TV8.
Touchline, sponsored by Dasani. Live first, Dasani after. And Powerade. Pause is power.
Preserve your personal priceless memories. Here at CBC, we transfer VHS, DVDs, Beta, U-matic, and DV cam tapes to modern digital formats. Safely, quickly, and affordably. Call CBC on 467-5437 to get started. In just 2 weeks, your memories will be ready to relive and share again.
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
And so, in terms of, you want to be a security officer.
Yeah.
Why?
Because my uncle was one.
Oh, your uncle was one?
Yeah.
And you want to be like your uncle?
Yes, please.
That is nice. That is so fantastic.
So my uncle passed away and died. He leave his friends on job.
His name is Kevin Waith. That was the day we had our feet up in the air because we were marking Rock Your Socks Day, right, Kevin? Do you remember? He's back with me. Yeah. You remember? Yeah. And those pretty socks you had on?
Yeah.
Boy, how did people react to you when you sat with me?
I was here, then I looked good in one of the boys.
You became a TV star.
Yeah.
A big TV star, Kev.
Yeah, I was telling so.
Pardon me?
Yeah, I was telling so.
Yeah. I mean, so everywhere you went, people were calling your name and saying, I saw you on TV, right?
Yeah.
I am telling you. So what are you up to? How's your foot? What happened?
I hurt my foot.
Doing what, Kevin?
Huh?
Doing what?
I was working the cast concrete. Then I went on clothes.
Oh, you got me shuddering, buddy. That must have been so painful, right?
Yeah.
But you do those kinds of things too? Mixing concrete?
Yeah.
You know I can't mix concrete, right? So how do you mix concrete?
Yeah, it's 4.5 sand and 6 rocks.
Rocks and sand?
And cement.
And cement too?
Yeah.
You don't need water. At least I know that.
And water, yeah.
Right, and mix it with a shovel?
No.
What were you using?
A mixer.
Oh, a mixer. So you're into masonry. You could build houses and things like that.
I don't build.
You don't build. You just mix.
It's a labor.
Fair man. I like you, Kevin, because you're like me. Do what you're good at.
Yeah.
And stick to what you're good at, right?
Yeah.
And so you know who these men are? Do you know them? Boy, I am a total novice as well, so I will introduce them in a minute. But life has been good for you since then, right?
Yeah.
You know, you're such a positive representation of what Down syndrome is. Many people have talked to us about what Down syndrome is, and a lot of people think that there are people who need to be put aside and shut away, and no world can see them at all. But you prove to us, as I talk about my godson all the time, Michael, about why we should have people like yourself in society doing everything that everybody does, right? Yeah. And that's what you still say. Do you play cricket?
Yes, yes.
You serious? Can you play road tennis?
Yes, yes.
Meet me at the court when we're done here. No, but your foot is hurt. You're lucky you got away today. Your foot hurt. So if I will beat you out there at road tennis.
I bet 21 years.
Pardon me? You would score 21 on me?
Yeah.
Making sport. I dare you, Kevin. Fix your foot and come back and meet me in the challenge of the century at road tennis. You promise to do that?
Yeah.
You sure? You don't want to be embarrassed, right? I like this, young man. I like this. How old are you now, Kev?
I'm 41.
You're 41. Yes, yeah. I remember. Yeah, you're 41 and living your life to its fullest. And I like your outlook on life. I like your energy to life. And I really want to commend you on that, man. Really, really want to commend. You made your way here on your own?
Yeah.
Again, that's another testimony you just shared with me, because oftentimes we get so protective of people with Down syndrome. We don't want them to go off and do things on their own for fear. Yeah. And that's love, yes, but for fear. But you say, you're a big man. You're 41 years old. You could do things by yourself, right?
Yes, yes.
Big man. I like that. Can you cook?
No.
Oh, good. Don't touch the stove. Indeed. Well, let me introduce you to some people here. This is Stephen Seeley.
Yes.
This is Stephen. This is Hurtado Mitchell. And this is Omar Estwick. And you would not believe why they're here, you know, Kevin. They're here for a reason. Hurtado, can you tell us the reason?
Hi, thanks, Pearson. Morning to you, Kevin. The reason why we are here is because when you were on television recently for Rock Your Socks Day, Down Syndrome Day, one of our HR managers, Kathy Ann Goodman at the office, she saw you online and she mentioned it to our employee relations manager, Jillian Aline, as well as our marketing specialist, Mark Masaya, and everybody came to us and said, this young man said that he wanted to be a security officer or he wanted to do security. And the team said, you know what? We're going to make this young man's dream become a reality.
Kevin, did you hear that?
Yeah.
You know you always wanted to be like your uncle, right? You remember?
Yeah.
And now this company, this man is saying to you, they're going to make that possible for you to become a security officer. How does that feel?
That job is nice.
It's nice. The job is nice.
Yeah.
You want to do this?
Yeah.
You sure you want to do this, Kevin?
I will do it.
You can do this. All right, so Tano.
So, Kevin, what we will be doing today, actually, we will be taking you to our office at Guardsman Barbados Limited, where we're going to outfit you with one of our T-shirts and make you a security officer for a day. How does that sound?
It'd be good.
Kevin is reserved. I love it. So, if you became the security officer today, what do you want to do? Lock me up?
I'm not lucky, only police over security guard.
You turn me over to another security guard to deal with me?
No, the police
will deal with me.
Over security.
Oh. Okay, I got you. You're smart. You're smart indeed. But Ertalo, I know you from the office. Your team sat, they watched, they were inspired by this. What does Guardsman do? Generally, one, and does Guardsman also? Would you be prepared to offer opportunities for anybody else as well who is like Kevin? Or who is challenged in other ways to be a part just for a day?
Yes, I want to say that Mr. Eswick and I, Omar and I, we have been looking at expanding our building. And one of the things that we have looked at is to include what is called a elevator in expansion. And this is because our minds were thinking so big. Our minds were thinking that we need to include more persons, right? And care for those who have disabilities, not because they have the disabilities. That doesn't mean that the brain is not functioning. That doesn't mean that the hands is not fully functioning, right? So we have been thinking about that because Guardsman, you know, we see ourselves not only as a security company, but a security solutions company, right? So if you know anything about Guardsman, you'll realize that we're also in tourism in Jamaica, right? So we do not stick ourselves to one niche, right? We find other niches and we ensure that we serve the public as best as possible.
Somebody sort of, Omar, you're in finance.
Yes, please.
So who would have thought as Guardsman that was the case? Tell me a little bit about your portfolio.
My portfolio, okay, so Guardsman, we do multiple things with regards to security. So it will be manned security, it will be cash in transit, it will be cash management, it will be deposit processing. So for me, in my portfolio, I oversee multiple countries in the region, and from a commercial perspective and also from a financial reporting perspective.
Wow. And Stephen, what do you do?
I'm the assistant manager to security services. My portfolio, I head the cash and transit teams, which we move valuables from point A to point B. I overall the security officers and stuff. So like my guy will be a security officer.
Oh, so you're going to be working with Kevin?
I'm going to train him today. You ready?
Give the thumbs up, Kevin. This is the man. Stick close to him. Your future is about to happen, my brother. Indeed. And so here it is now. You have this opportunity, Kevin. Starting to, your foot hurt, but we'll work with you. And now you are going to become a guardsman for the day with Guardsman.
Yeah.
You're ready for this, right?
Yeah.
This is your dream come true?
Yeah, not my dream. So, because as a gunman, I will protect myself, I protect a whole the compound.
As a guard, as a security officer, the one thing you've always wanted to be. And so Patricia Bennett said, oh, this is so sweet for Kevin. Kevin, people all over the world are talking about you. Congratulations to Kevin from Marcia Rock. These are people on social media who are talking about you. We love you, and we want you to know that you can be everything that you've set your mind to be, Kevin. I believe it. These gentlemen at Guardsmen also believe it. And they want you to have the time of your life for just one day. Just one day. But I know it can turn into multiple days if you do well.
Yeah.
Kevin, you have to do well. Okay?
Right.
And I know you have the right mindset to do well.
Right.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
You're very welcome. You were so reserved today. What happened to you?
Nothing.
Okay, good. And gentlemen, thank you so much for really stepping up, watching Mornin Barbados first of all, and your team, and being so magnanimous in your response to what we do and for what Kevin needs as well, to be able to uplift people and change trajectory for a lot of people as well through positive engagements as well. So,
thank you.
Yes, well done to you and your
I just
team.
want to say thank you very much for answering our call and giving us this opportunity as well.
Oh, it is our pleasure. Thank you for making the call. It is our immense pleasure as well. So, gentlemen, all the best as well.
Thank you, Pearson.
Thank you. And Kev, you're the star. You are the star today, Kevin. Don't ever forget it, okay?
All right.
That's it for today, everybody. What a way to end our show today. I want to thank you and to thank everyone who's been a part of it today, because today we've been enlightened. Tomorrow is a public holiday. It's National Heroes Day. We had heroes on the set with us just a moment ago from Guardsmen, and so they're giving another hero in Kevin Waite the opportunity to live his dreams, to fly, to soar, and to contribute in a very significant way to his lived reality and to the realities of others as well. So make the most of tomorrow. Ambassador Commichon advised you to move around the island tomorrow. Look at some of those significant points where our national heroes are remembered, and make the memorial to the family in Bridgetown in National Heroes Square one of those stops, whether it's the beginning or the end of your journey. Take the children with you. But be your best selves tomorrow, everybody. My little crew joins me in saying to all of you, have a terrific day. Be the will of the Lord. We will see you on Wednesday. Take care. Bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning, Barbados, good morning.